All right, welcome back to Huddle Up, episode 2. Thomas Pocrnic, Luca, Celebre, as always, and we're once again greeted with a very, very special guest, Andrew Harris, joining the huddle, joining the show today. First of all, thank you for your time. How's it going?
I'm doing great. It's, we got our first round bye out of the way, and just prepping for a big matchup against Hamilton, which is always fun.
Yeah, I mean, we were just talking earlier, starting the season off with a bye. Obviously, the Grey Cup champions. I mean, maybe you guys would like to defend the throne right away, run it back with Winnipeg, but I'm sure you guys will have that opportunity at some point this year. But how was the off season for you? What'd you get up to?
Yeah, so I had my son right before the Eastern Final last year. He's 7 months now, so it's been a busy off season, changing diapers again. And I also have a 15-year-old daughter, so she's playing club volleyball. So between changing diapers and driving, being an Uber driver for her, taking her to all her tournaments and different things, it was busy with that. And I have a business back in Winnipeg as well too, so I stayed busy, kind of building that up and just full time daddy duties, which was awesome. So after you win, the Grey Cup, the off season is a lot more pleasant. Everything goes by a lot easier and smoother. If you lose, there's always a little bit of taste of regret. So I've been fortunate enough the last 3 years to have that great feeling in the off seasons. Going back to back. So hopefully I can get used to this and keep on going for another one.
That's so crazy, back to back. And You mentioned the off season. The Argos obviously on field changes to the roster, but then you also look at you got new jerseys, you got the rings. Let's start with the jerseys because I love them.
Yeah.
What are the thoughts from you, the team? Do you guys love them?
So I'm an 87. So 2002, 2003 was my high school days, and that was Baby Blue was in. There was the Baby Blue Sound Crew and all that, and so for me, my high school jerseys were Baby Blue as well too. So when I first saw them, I was like, man, this is awesome. This is throwing it back to my high school days and really just kind of they also paid homage to the 150 years as well too, so it's a bit of mix of modern and historic, with some of the little details within the jersey. But yeah, I think they absolutely killed them, and we're gonna look sharp out there.
They look so good.
It's the helmets for me that does it. The baby blue jersey's nice, but it's bold with the blue helmet, but it really, really ties together nicely.
For sure.
Luca, you said it. The rings too. We got to get into the rings because you have it here.
Yeah.
And
the real one, the replica, we've got them both.
They're almost the same, right?
A little smaller.
Yeah, it's all good, man. It's just
a little less value.
It's nice to have the replicas though, because the fans are such a big part of the league. They're such a big part of our organization, and the season ticket holders, the people that come day in and day out, they're part of the fabric of our team and motivating us and really that support system. So it's nice to have a replica that they can feel hey, we're part of this too, and have something to kind of remember, that great season from 2022, and have something to show for it as well too. So it's great.
Yeah, you got 4 now.
Yeah, 4.
I mean, you had one early in your career, and like you said, you've won the last 3, which is crazy. I was at the Grey Cup, the recent one that you just won, and probably the craziest football game I've ever seen live in person, just with how it swung at the end. If you were to rank the 4 rings, where would this most recent one fall on that list?
Yeah, so again, I've got 4 rings. The first one was 2011. It was my second year playing. Everything kind of just flew by. 2019 was a very emotional roller coaster for me with a lot of things on and off the field, and I was on the design committee. I also got MVP and most outstanding Canadian that game. I helped design that ring. 21 I wasn't on the design committee, and this one I was on the design committee. So
I was going to ask about that.
So the two that rank the highest obviously are the ones that I helped design. So but this one is absolutely insane. It's definitely the top 2 for me, from an emotional standpoint. Just looking at it, it's just the detail, the different colors, just the layers too. It pops out at you. So yeah, this is definitely top 2 for me, and probably 1 right now because it's the most recent. So yeah, this baby's nice.
You mentioned design committee. I feel like a lot of people probably don't know that players get to actually have a big part in this process. So who on your team was part of that design committee, and what were some of the ideas that you came up with that you got to see come to life in this ring?
Yeah, so we had 4 or 5 guys on the design from the player standpoint. So we had 1 vote out of 4, I believe. So so 5 players came together and we had all these different ideas. So the group chat was just all different kinds of things coming in, and then once we got some mocks coming up, then it was like, okay, let's bring it back here, and there's unrealistic expectations of what we wanted from the get-go, and you always try to push for more, right? So but I think honestly we as the players, we all were on the same page with a lot of the things, and it turned out great.
Is your favorite detail the wave on it?
Yeah.
That's like just looking at it right now and seeing it, and the wave looks awesome.
The wave and just the logo, the 3D, how it pops out at you.
Yeah. The sail.
And then the blue sapphire is just absolutely flawless in the middle there too. So, but yeah, they definitely killed it. Barron's did a great job. Honestly, Jostens was like killing the market for rings now, and Barron's, an actual Canadian company has come in now, and they're doing everything right now, so they're doing a great job.
That's really
Shout out
cool.
to Barron's. We got another sponsorship.
There we go. Love it. We'd love to see it.
All right, let's talk a little bit about the gridiron. You've been a top running back for a long time. You've seen, throughout your career, other running backs be so good in this league. If you were to build your ultimate running back, so different traits from different players, let's say speed, agility, pass catching, and then maybe blocking.
Yeah.
How would you sort of put together that ultimate runner?
Well, you
can include yourself.
Yeah, you can include yourself.
For sure. You mentioned a lot of physical attributes, and honestly, one of the biggest things that goes, under the radar is mentally, right? So I always say, like, my best years physically, I was up here, but mentally I was here. And then when I started playing my best football ever in my career is when they kind of matched up. So, physically I was starting to lose a little speed and just not have that same burst. But mentally I was getting, more wise. You see more looks. You anticipate things more. And that's kind of like that 2019, 18 era. And then, mentally you just get stronger and stronger. And then physically I'm down here now, right? So I can still compete and play, but it's just like, I watch old film, I'm like, man, I used to have that nice burst and that, and I just can't do that anymore. But mentally, I can still hang because I see things a little faster and everything's a lot more slow for me. So, but yeah, mentally, honestly, I'll take myself for mentally. Power-wise, I got to say AJ Ouellette, he's an absolute force. The guy like benches 500 pounds and squats. I don't even know how much he squats, but he's an absolute specimen. Speed-wise, who would I take speed-wise? Butler's pretty quick. We actually got a guy on our practice roster. Yeah, Deontay, and he probably runs like a sub 4.3. So I'm gonna take his speed, and then catching ability. I gotta say myself again. Blocking ability. Oh man, I'm just gonna keep saying myself.
You're the ultimate running back.
Honestly, but then this is me in my prime. If I could take AJ's power with a little more speed and then everything else with my own, then I'd be going off for 2,000 a season in the physical prime and mental prime. But the mental, like I said, the mental side is very underrated and bar none, that's the biggest thing that helped me get into this league and staying here so long is because I understood the game a little differently and saw it from a broader spectrum than just being a running back. A lot of guys just come in, I just want to know how to run the ball really well, but you have to learn how to block properly, understand what the O-line's doing, understand what the receiver's doing behind you so you can find the right spots, catch those checkdowns, and then understanding just the game itself, seeing the defenses and how things flow, it makes the game that much easier and that much slower for you, and you can have a lot more success just from the mental standpoint of it.
Do you think that's like the biggest reason, and you hear it all the time, NFL, CFL, like running backs, it's got the shortest lifespan, you're taking all these hits, like it's the hardest position to play.
I think it's like 2 or 3 years is like the average lifespan of a running back.
Do you think insane. Then the difference, like longevity wise, playing a long career, is the ability to have that mental game up here to make up for that physical decline over the years?
For sure. I mean, like, there's running the ball, obviously be able to catch out of the backfield, blocking is key. There's the mental side of it that needs to be there too, but you also have to be durable, and if you it's funny because you'll see these young guys like come in beginning of the season or preseason and they're like, wow, that guy's crazy. I'm like, yeah, let's see how he is in 9 weeks.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And especially the running back position, you're like, oh yeah, they got a lot of burst, they got a lot of spring, but after they keep getting hit over and over again, they start to slow down a little bit because they don't have that same naiveness to going and hitting the hole that way or running just kind of wild. Right? One guy who runs wild all the time is Kadeem Carey out of Calgary, and he just brings a certain energy every run, and he doesn't care about his body at times, and I love it.
Yeah.
But
But he's out this week. Like,
but
example,
exactly,
right?
like, can you maintain that? Though?
Yeah.
There's an art to just knowing how to get hit properly too, and knowing when to try to break a tackle or jump over someone or whatever the case may be. So, and all these little things happen like a split second.
Yeah,
it's wild, man. It's wild.
That's so nuts.
I'll go through game film and I'll watch like how guys tackle, how they approach me. Are they guys that come low? Do they wrap up? Do they always try to go upfield shoulder? Inside shoulder, whatever it is. And then it's funny because I'll be running the ball. Okay, there's 11. He goes low. Okay, I can try to jump here. And it's these little calculations happen within boom up. It's just really really quick.
But that's the mental game, like you're talking about too. That preparation makes you know that you can avoid a tackle in that scenario or different ways to do that.
Whereas when young Andrew is just like, oh, I'm just gonna do this every time. I don't care. I'm not really paying attention to my surroundings or what's there. You kind of have to tap into that that next dimension of, okay, this person's here, this guy likes to do this, and how can I get out of this situation?
Over the course of your career, you've racked up over 10,000 rushing yards. But maybe more impressive is you've thrown 6 passes, and you've completed 2 of them.
Okay.
And we're gonna do a little bit of a film study.
Okay. So yeah. So this one here, I think you're about to pull up. This is just this is savviness. This is.
Noticed a couple of these ones. Savviness for sure. But we'll pull it up. It's such a smart play.
Yeah. So I got nowhere to go there. Absolutely nowhere to go. Instead of taking a 4-yard loss, just get rid of that thing. So that's again just on the fly.
Did you hear it from a coach after that about a potential interception, or was it like, man, that's a heads up
I've never
play?
been taught to do this. I've always just kind of done it on my own. And then coaches, every coach that's seen me do this or heard about it or watched me do it, they're like, man, that's crazy. But you got to be careful because if it's a run play, they might be blocking downfield, so that could potentially be a penalty as well. So,
well, I think this is your first ever pass attempt, and you do the same thing here with the Lions, where it's like, oh no, loss, but underhand toss, repeat it. Next play kind of thing.
That's crazy. I totally forgot about that one. That one's borderline fumbling actually.
Because the underhand toss.
But I got enough momentum with it.
Let's
so
see. I want to watch the replay of this one. Like you said, it's just a savvy play where and it's not intentional grounding at this point either, right? Yeah. Because that rule's not there. Yeah. No one's expecting it. Just toss it away.
That's crazy.
Live to fight another day.
I forgot about that one.
This one I think
where are you pulling these up from, man? You got
TSN archives.
We did some searching.
They're deep. This one is the only one that and there was one other incompletion that we couldn't find, but this one is like an actual trick play pass attempt here.
Yeah.
It just did not go well.
Oh my God, that was horrible. Yeah.
You had him too.
I had him. I got too excited. Oh my God. Hey, TSN, can you please delete that from the archives? You can't have that out there. That's amazing.
Oh man.
That one's a tough one.
Yeah, that's a tough one. That was ugly. That's ugly.
Okay. That's okay.
I had one against Winnipeg actually. I completed one to Paris Jackson. It was a fumble. And then I ended up picking it up, but because someone pushed someone out of the way, it's like illegal participation. And but I ended up hitting Paris Jackson for like a 30-yard catch. But
you had your other completion was a 20-yard completion, but it was like a shuffle pass, like it was just kind of like a swing forward.
So it's just like it's Dressler coming in motion. We'll cue it up a little here.
Okay.
But it's Dressler coming in motion, and then he just goes for 20.
Oh, that's Wildcat. Yeah, that's Wildcat. There you go. I'll take that.
Yeah,
I'll take that.
That's a 20-yard pass right there. That's pretty impressive.
There it is.
And then we also found you on the receiving end of some of these trick plays. So you've got this one.
This is Lapalisse. Coach Lapalisse used to love all these kind of things here. Yeah.
Darvin Adams. Darvin it seemed like he threw a few when you guys.
Yeah, he used to play quarterback in high school. So he had a nice little arm.
That was a dime right there.
Nice little touch.
That was a nice touch. Is it different catching a ball from a receiver like that? Like, does it come out differently, or it's pretty similar?
Usually it's not as much like it's not on a line. It's usually got just like kind of floats in there.
A little more air. They want to just get it there and make sure it gets there.
For sure.
That's funny. It's always funny just seeing other positions throw the ball. What other position would you play if you weren't playing running back? Would it just be receiver?
So funny enough, so when I first started with BC, this is when like there's John Cornish was on the practice roster, like kind of starting off with Calgary, but there was no Canadian running backs. Wally Buono was like, there's no Canadian running backs, and if you have a starting Canadian running back, you need to have like another backup. So my first year, they put me at Y, which is like the number 3 inside receiver, which is kind of like a hybrid fullback tight end almost in that offense anyways. Yeah. I was backing up Jason Claremont, if you remember him.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. So he was like a 6'4", like 230, big stocky receiver, right? So I started off as a Y, and then the next year they wanted to see me play special teams and stuff. So I went back to play junior and played all my special teams and stuff, and then came back again. I just wanted to be a running back and put me at Y again. And then we got low in numbers at running back, and they're like, hey, come play running back. So I did really well in our scrimmage, and then made the team on the practice roster. So then, even then, they're like, yeah, we're still not really set on this Canadian running back thing. So they put me at safety for a little bit. So I was playing safety. Wow. This is when we had Casey Printers and like that era. That would have been like 2009, I believe. But yeah, it was crazy. Like going from coming in, making the team as a running back, getting put to receiver, and then now I'm playing safety. And yeah, it was wild. But then things kind of happened, shuffled up again, and then I got back at running back, and then I was just like in my mind, I'm like, once I get this opportunity to get back there, just be undeniable, where they cannot ignore me at that position, and if it is just figure it out, kind of thing, right? Figure out the ratio. I'm gonna be undeniable. I don't care if I'm Canadian, American. I want to be the best running back on this team. And that's kind of came back with that mentality, and here we are. Yeah, here we are. Yeah.
Safety. That I mean it's always tough to picture offensive guys playing defense
for sure.
Just
like I mean safety's a little bit different because you don't have to actually have the tight feet, but yeah, like I was trying to do like my back pedal and like again, that's pretty much all the DBs are American too, and they're like quick twitch and everything. I was like, holy I'm not even close right now. And even too, like the DB culture and like just the persona. It was like I'm not this guy. I'm not
all the man like.
I'm not this guy. Like
quarterback sails the ball out of bounds, and it's just the biggest celebration I've ever seen.
Straps. I'm like, man, I can't do this. I'm not fit for this.
It takes a different mentality.
For sure. And one, I think you got to like start off and like you have to have some years in. To have that and playing DB is very, very tough, especially in the CFL.
Absolutely.
With the waggle and there's a lot of confidence and trust in your speed, and I've always been around coaches that say a good DB never panics. He trusts his ability to recover, trusts his speed to make up. And you see these DBs when they get roasted a little bit, they freak out. Always gonna get that PI, right?
Yeah.
So a lot of it is about confidence and your abilities to be able to retrace and catch up and just trust your ability to track that ball and get there when the receiver does too. So it's a tough position for sure.
Want to focus on the rivalry, Hamilton, Toronto. You were also part of another great rivalry when you were with Winnipeg, Saskatchewan. I feel like a lot of people view that as like the premier rivalry in the CFL. But now that you've played with Toronto, you've experienced the Hamilton thing. And last year was unique too, where it was like you guys played each other so many times in a short span where it just
like
felt
4 times in 5 weeks or something like that.
It's nuts. I've never seen a team or a schedule kind of work out like that, which is a little crazy. But what do you think of this rivalry that you're currently in, and where does it kind of stack up with Winnipeg, Saskatchewan from those years?
Well, it's funny because even when I played in Winnipeg, we beat Hamilton, the 2 years, in the Grey Cup, and then I felt like, even going into Hamilton this year was like Hamilton people hated me already, and then plus I'm now with Toronto, so it was heavy. Like there was a lot going on behind us, and they're right on top of you too. So I mean the Hamilton crowd is interesting. I love it, but it is a lot. Like it's heavy and but I mean they support their team, they love their team. As far as the rivalry between the two clubs on the field, I think it's gonna be interesting this year because we had such an emotional leader and a hyena on our defense now in Hamilton and Chris Edwards, and he's a guy who's always talking and he's always he's a big player, so that's gonna kind of heighten the the energy and the attitude for them, and I think it's just how we're gonna clap back and face fire with fire. So I'm looking forward to it. It's gonna be fun.
Before we go, obviously being with Bar Down TSN and you see around the studio, we do have a lot of hockey stuff. We love to talk hockey here as well. During the pandemic, there was a story about you actually suiting up in a referee uniform and reffing. Was it men's league hockey, beer league hockey?
Yeah.
You got to tell us a little bit about that story.
Okay, so I play beer league, men's league all throughout the winter. So even this past year, I played more hockey this off season than I ever have. Probably like 4 or 5 times a week. So the ASHL.
Yeah, that's where we play that too. Yeah.
So the guy who runs it in Winnipeg, he's a good friend of mine. And after the pandemic, there were like none of the refs came back and the real shortage. And even kind of bugging me, in the past just to come come and help out, and she's like, yeah, it's a good way to stay in shape. And I was like, man, I'm not reffing, man. And then after the pandemic, he was really hurting, and I was kind of like, my daughter was at volleyball for 4 hours a night, you know, three or four times a week. So I was like, I'm not doing anything right now, so might as well just go and ref a couple games. And it was fun. So I started off like low level women's hockey, and then I kind of worked my way up, and I was kind of nervous to ref the higher levels, because I also play in those higher levels. So I was like, man, if I make a bad call, I'm just gonna get chirped even more. But it was fun, man. Like being on the other side, I didn't really call many penalties. I was like, yeah, unless it was like blatant, but. Yeah. It was insane, some of the stuff you hear from these guys going back and forth, and I was like, man, this is crazy that this men's league, beer league hockey was just so competitive. But I enjoyed it. I only did it the 1 year. They asked me to come back last year, and I was like, I'm gonna hang my reffing career up for now. But it was good, man. It was good to help out, and it was just kind of good to be on the ice. And I actually wore these like leg weights on my legs while I was reffing, just to kind of get some extra stuff. And these other refs were like, I've never seen that before. That's crazy. I'm like, well, I'm out here getting to work, and you're not really skating hard, so I was just trying to get a little extra out of it. So yeah, it was good. It was fun.
Did anyone ever get in your face? Like,
absolutely not.
No. Yeah, I was gonna say, like,
I had one lady come up to me about something, and I was like, just skate it off. It'll be okay. He's just gotta make sure you get home to the kids or the family, and just like, it's all right. The women get vicious. The women's hockey
absolutely
was very eye opening to how they talk to each other, and I was like, wow, it was way more intense verbally than I anticipated, for sure.
I've always said that about not even just women's hockey, but women's soccer too. It just seems like there's a lot more intensity with it.
I loved it.
It's amazing.
I loved to see
Love
it.
watching it.
It was great. It was amazing.
Do you know all your signs? Like, are you like hooking, tripping?
I had to do a little course. There was a couple times I messed up, and then the guy in the penalty box or the timekeeper would had to correct me, but it was all 2 minutes, so it was all the same.
It's all the same.
Yeah, I think I was doing this roughing. This is boarding though. Right?
Yeah.
I was
roughing is. I think it's just like the arm out. Yeah. So, I used to ref hockey too, and it was always fun. I got doing it in high school, and then the little kids are reffing, and it's always a good time.
For sure.
And beer league, I think the thing that you don't have to deal with either is parents, which is nice.
Yeah.
Because absolutely. I think parents are the absolute worst for hockey.
Parents kill the game. I mean, it's all sports. Like I coach my daughter's soccer, and we fortunately had a good group of parents, but some of the other parents and the other teams, just the stuff that would come out of their mouths, and I get it. You want your kids to be in a good environment and succeed, and but at 9-year-old, 8-year-old soccer, I mean, there is a certain seriousness to it, but let the kids go out there and have fun. That's what it's about. Let them develop, and you don't need to be calling out refs, calling out coaches, calling out other players. You know what I mean? And it takes away the fun for them.
Thank you for your time today. It was great chatting with you, and we definitely wish you best of luck this season.
Appreciate it, guys. Thanks so much for having me.
You got to go for 4 in a row.
Absolutely. I'm
go
striving for 5. I got to get all 5.
Feel that hand up.
The next one going on my thumb. That's going to be a chunky ring. For sure.